All right, welcome to On My Block Packers podcast. I'm your host, Mike Wahle. Amon will not be joining us today, but we'll get him back on Thursday for the preview of the Detroit Lions game, which turns out to be a huge game because the Packers won 41-17 over the Vikings yesterday, setting them up for a last Week 18 playoff push. Before we get to that, BetOnline is our sponsor. Basketball's back. Football playoffs are about to start. And BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends on BetOnline. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, or even golf. So head to betonline.ag, betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. This is just like this confluence of events that you're just not going to see all the time. Packers were certainly the more aggressive team. They look like the more well-coached team this game, but call it what it is. Vikings lose linemen, cannot function up front very well. They have 6 penalties. They're a team that wins the turnover battle. They lost the turnover battle 4-0 yesterday. Packers win the turnover battle 4-0, I should say. They usually are a low penalized team. They had 6 penalties. I don't know how many. I think at least 5 of those were up front on the offensive line for false starts and nonsense. Footing was an issue. They hadn't been outside, I think, since the Bills game. They hadn't been that kind of weather. You see guys sliding all over the field. And that is, I'll tell you firsthand, that is a real advantage to the Green Bay Packers. When you come in here in December, you come in here in January, and you have to play on that wet turf. And what happens is Lambeau Field is actually heated from underneath the grass. So the grass, like the actual underbelly soil of the grass is warm, and then you see the moisture comes and everything melts, and it actually becomes a little bit sloppy and soupy. If you don't understand that you have to wear those the triangle of deep cleats up front, you have an issue. We saw guys, running backs, linemen, obviously wide receivers slipping all over the place. But bottom line, we had to physically dominate this game. I think this is the best coach game that Matt LaFleur and his staff has had, if not this season, if not the entire tenure that they've been here in Green Bay. I think our guys were well prepared. You just saw the intensity they play with. Their intensity was not matched by the Minnesota Vikings. Schematically, we did some things, especially on defense, that were just powerful. Listen, this was a game where we had 315 yards total offense. This is not like you just ran somebody over offensively. Defense did a fantastic job. And really, we just have a superhero back there in Keyshawn Nixon returning these punts and kickoffs. That kickoff return, it's 3-0. Let's get to it right now. I mean, listen, we'll talk about all this stuff as we go. Let's go through the tape, because let's just start with this guy. Every time he does something now, he's a superhero. I mean, you watch this. It's 3-0. You don't know how the game's going to go. We just had the punt blocked. I think the 3rd and 18 with off the terrible sack that Rodgers gave up. We get it on the 1-yard line. We stop them. We kick a field goal. They kick a field goal. And then, listen, a great job. This is kind of what you want to accentuate when you start talking about Keyshawn Nixon and what he's doing with his team, not only offensively or for special teams, but also what he does for the entire team. When somebody believes that you have greatness within you, when somebody believes that you're special, you can do things that just other people couldn't, they're going to work a little bit. There's a little bit more. I don't want to say they work harder, but there's something different about the way that people finish, the way that people address the situation, the business they go, the way they go about their business, because they believe this guy is special. Everybody's up on the sideline watching to see if he's going to do something spectacular. This guy is the biggest game changer. Christian Watson has been a revelation since he got healthy and started coming into form, certainly. This guy is as big a game changer as I've ever seen as far as the impact that somebody could have on a team in the middle of the season, coming really out of nowhere. You just see this guy. He's not even the fastest guy on the field, but it's just he runs angry. He just has an incredible nose. I mean, is this great? I mean, is this great blocking? Absolutely. But that's kind of the point. Once you start seeing greatness around you, you want to be part of it. You want to be responsible. You want to throw that key block. You want to put in all the work. You see these guys sprinting down. They want to be part of the action here. And he's as big a reason for the Green Bay Packers' success. I know he's done some good things on defense as well, but when you just start talking about, game changers, this guy, it's too bad he can't go back and vote again. If this guy's not all pro, it's a travesty. But let's talk about some offensive stuff. And really, when you look at this game, we had a very good game on the ground. We had 33 rushes for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones early, 14 carries for 111 yards. A.J. Dillon, 12 carries for 41. Aaron Rodgers had a pedestrian day, 15 for 24, 159 yards, 1 touchdown, no turnovers. I think he was only sacked once on that early in the game, real bad play. But we're being physical at the line of scrimmage. And, well, obviously, when we start talking about physical, the most physical guy, the most dominant blocker on our team when Bakhtiari, excluding Bakhtiari, is Mercedes Lewis. And we're just going to have a little bit of Mercedes Lewis love fest here, I think, because just a tight end love fest, because these guys are actively making a huge difference in the game. Mercedes Lewis, DeGuara, and Robert Tonyan. And we've talked about Tonyan on this show before. The way that he has gone about his business and trying to better himself as a complete player. I was so happy to see him get some passages. Obviously, gets a touchdown, gets the keeper, gets a check down, and gets some yards under his belt. Because when you work as hard as he has to become a better version of yourself for the team, you want to see those guys turn around and then also be able to benefit from some of that individual stuff. So we look at the 12 personnel here. We got a fullback in the backfield, DeGuara. We're just going to get a nice down block here. Which is called a tray block between David Bakhtiari and Mercedes Lewis. Come back down. Hicks, big-time linebacker. You see DeGuara taking out the edge rusher, 58 by Mercedes Lewis. This is how you start a football game. This isn't a flashy play. This is like a 6-7 yard gain. That's football. You dominate on the line of scrimmage. You have big blocks at the second level, and guys have to drag Aaron Jones for 6-7 yards. That's football. You get these great plays. It's fantastic. But football is, can you, if you have even numbers or if you're at a slight disadvantage, can you create this opportunity for your running back to get 5, 6, 7, 8 yards? I'm circling Mercedes Lewis here because I hope everybody appreciates that there is maybe 3 teams in the entire National Football League have a tight end that can do this by himself against a high level player, defensive end, and Danielle Hunter, high level player. You see, he's letting everybody know that is not easy. That is a big deal. See it from this angle, end zone copy, and Mercedes is just bested the basics. Good footwork, second step. You see, he gets his hands inside. I just head across and work, and not trying to turn his body, just trying to run on that angle. It's a big deal. A lot of guys get beat because they try to turn their body back into this person and kind of win with their hips. Nope, just stay on your track. Huge play. You can't even call that play for most teams because there's no way their tight end's going to be able to get it. Now, I think they showed this play on the live copy when you watch Tony Romo, and Mercedes has another great block here, and so does Alan Lazard. But listen, Tonyan, who was a wide receiver in college, little tray block bump off, helps Zach Tom. Zach Tom came in and did a great job again, by the way. Gets to the second level against Kendricks. Now, look, you got 3 guys who are not paid to be offensive linemen these guys are all covered up. This is a fantastic job. I mean, if you're a running back, I hope there's probably some shots or glasses of scotch on the bar next to these guys' nightstand here at the end of the game, because these guys are working. Now Lazard, Mercedes, and then Robert Tonyan. That's fantastic. I love this play. You got a short yardage play. DeGuara is here, lined up like they're going to go right in, insert right into the safe on a little dive. They could be handing the ball off. We're offset from Aaron Jones is offset a little bit. And then also, so you're in 13 personnel here. You got Mercedes Lewis, Robert Tonyan outside. I mean, this is just a really unique and fancy play call by Matt LaFleur and company. Little left-handed pitch instead of opening up, just a quick left-handed pitch. Tonyan's on Patrick Peterson. You see Mercedes does a good job here. These are fun plays, man. This is fun to watch. Huge tight end bubble here. We have defensive end coming down. We do a little pass-off block. It's called a slip block with David Bakhtiari. Now, he can go up to the second level, but instead of doing that, that's not his man. DeGuara is coming around for the second level or the third level defender. So he just walls off inside and Jordan Hicks. And all of a sudden you have this massive hole because Guar comes in and just puts his body on the line. Aaron Jones at the gate. So much fun. By the way, number 44 for the Minnesota Vikings. He is a rookie. I want to get his name right. I'm not thinking of the right guy. I'm thinking of 33. Look here. You got a 2x2, tight end hipped off. I just love the passing game wasn't going good early. Nothing was going good early. It's like you had a block punt. You got a huge sack. You're not converting a lot of third downs or anything in early going, but you're up 14-3. It's just, again, confluence events, different kind of game. Harrison Smith, all pro. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. You just see the game that they're playing with Aaron Rodgers and Harrison Smith here. But I love that the Packers are trying to go deep a couple times and keep these guys honest. They want to play. You got to get those safeties back. Why? It creates running lanes, allows you to control the flow of the game. See, he comes in the middle, looks like he's going to play some sort of Robert Covich. Sorry, that's me. All right, here we go. So Harrison and Aaron have played against each other a ton. And we're going to see him walk in, look like they're going to play a little, cover 3, cover 1 robber. He points out that he's going back to Christian Watson. He's immediately going to try to turn and now trap the inside slot receiver on the 2x2. Aaron sees it. He's got the stutter go going on Patrick Peterson, which we actually pointed out last week as a play that we can get them on the stutter go. We had him here. We had him actually twice in the game. Just didn't connect on the pass, but you love the thought process of what they're trying to accomplish, right? You got to keep them honest. You got to keep the top off these guys in order to establish your run game underneath. This Minnesota Vikings team up until yesterday had a lot of success against the run defense, but certainly was the Packers' day yesterday. We're going to show a lot of pass here. I just love some of the stuff they're coming up with eye candy. So you have receiver coming in, motioning in. We've all seen this kind of student body right where everybody's moving to the right. We've got Alan Zard blocking out. We've got a guy coming across as a lead back. You have DeGuara over there. All offensive linemen are going to move to the right. Aaron Jones can take this handoff and go for the stretch play. But DeGuara is just coming backside here. And really what you have is a 5-down line with one linebacker. This is a very easy scheme for the offensive line to block when you take away all the window dressing. But there's so much going on. You see people running across the field. Everyone's got their hips turned to the sideline. So I'm going to rewind that so you guys can see that in better motion here. But as the quarterback's back, they're just running the cross action. That's all. This is split flow. That's all this is. It looks different. You see everybody turn and run to the right of the screen. But at the end of the day, that's just an easy split flow play against a stand-up nose tackle as a defensive lineman, defensive end. So you're going to get great push at the point of attack. It's little things like that make a big difference, make the game a lot easier for the offensive line and the running backs. You see here, this is a play that maybe you look at, we could have been up by more. And listen, Harrison Smith comes back over and he's playing third level. Just as a general commentary here, Aaron Rodgers is probably looking at Harrison Smith to understand that he can throw the slant over here because he's in man coverage and Harrison can't get over there. But just generally speaking, we have a hat on hat with the sift backside with Mercedes Lewis, meaning Mercedes can take the end and the safety overhang. And you have him hat on literally everybody else on the team here. So a dive play to Aaron Jones on the 3-yard line is very, very viable because you're just saying your running back can make the play on Harrison's on the safety, whoever it is. Could be Jamal Adams, could be anybody. But you're going to say that you're going to get the push and you're going to be able to make this play, especially when you have Bakhtiari on the backside working this beat gap with Elton Jenkins. This is a walk-in touchdown. Point being, we could be up 21 or 21-3 instead of 17-3. Wanted to give some credit where credit's due. Myers has had a tough season, but it's little things like this that make a big difference. So Myers is supposed to step to the 2-eye on Elgin Jenkins, and they're going to do a double team up to linebacker. Now, the Minnesota Vikings, because they have to play shell coverage, one thing that they're also doing is they're moving around their defensive line. They're slanting their guys more than they usually do. Now, when you slant your guys, we've talked about this on the show many times. When you slant your players, it's a feast or famine deal. There's going to be some situations where it works. You get somebody's edge, you can cut them off. There's also some situations, a lot of situations, where you get just put in a bad position. Now, in this situation with Myers, this isn't a huge play or a huge game. What I want to understand is he's learning to adjust to what he sees, snap back, and take the edge off for John Runyon Jr. So we have a little bit of leverage play here. Come back, make the play at the second level, and now Aaron Jones has a viable hole to run through. That's not a huge play in the game. It's just a little thing you got to appreciate when guys are getting better. Christian Watson goes in motion. We have the handoff. Yeah, I love this play. Tunyon's open, but if you look at the top of the screen, Christian Watson going, just give me the ball. Hands up. He's got the Devontae Adams hands up look. What happens in these games is when you are able to run the football, you're up a ton of points. Guys get these little plays, these little nuggets where you see the corner over here, you see the safety inside, and the safety bails, and all of a sudden the corner's going, well, I got to take the deep guy. I got to let the underneath guy go. Easy run. Pad the stats. Love it. One thing that always goes underappreciated, Allen Lazard's a phenomenal blocker, but because he's so good, you see not only is the end standing up, which they do anyways, not only is he wide, which they'll play wide anyways, he's more square. He's not in a linear stance to attack David Bakhtiari or attack that gap in like a pass rush mode. Okay, he's playing very square to the line of scrimmage. Why? Because he has to be able to move laterally. You see that Allen Lazard's in a position where he could potentially crack block on him. So you see the motion here by the defensive end. He's taking a look, goes out. Oh, he's in a bad position. So he's artificially widened just by Lazard being there and kind of stepping to him. Bakhtiari's got an easy widen. You see a great job by Josh Myers at containing the nose tackle. Elgin Jenkins up on the second level. You got to run through here. Great run by A.J. Dillon, just being able to run over the 22, the safety Smith. Just keep his legs going. And this is, look, playoff football, this is what you want to see. Everybody's on that pile trying to push. I know we don't get in here, but the mentality is right. It's awesome to see from the Green Bay Packers offense. Let's talk defense, man, because these guys, listen, as bad as they played in week one and with some of the struggles they had during the course of this season, this team played really well. Now, they gave up 346 yards of offense, and you go, well, yeah, a lot of that's garbage offense. Okay, but these guys did three things that we need to focus on that were just really, really special for this game. One, that first goal line stand was fantastic. That was a big deal. We have some clips on it. Two, the coverage adjustment that they made. And yeah, Jair Alexander's going to get all the credit, and he deserves a ton of credit because, listen, you got to be a special kind of player to be able to go out there and make statements in the media and talk the talk and go out and deliver. Okay, but the coverage they had where he's playing outside leverage and they're bracketing him, they're bracketing and driving on Jefferson with the near safety or the far safety on all of these plays. It was a masterful job by Joe Barry and company of designing a defense and just saying, we don't care if anybody else beats us. We think the rest of our guys, here's what they said. Hawkinson can beat our linebackers underneath. I think he had 7 catches for 59 yards. Way to go. Okay. Thielen had 1 catch. We're just saying Rasul Douglas can cover Thielen all day. Savage can cover Thielen all day. We're not concerned about him, especially with the field conditions, especially with the problems they're having up front, especially with all the things that go into manufacturing drives in Green Bay and Lambeau Field in January. Justin Jefferson is not going to beat us. He obviously had some footing issues, but he had some. Listen, we've all been in this situation, right? Like I was a good basketball player in high school. And I remember we went into a game versus a team in Arizona, and this team just decided I wasn't going to score. And about 5 minutes in the game, when things are going well and you're the best player, and all of a sudden you're not scoring, you're not getting the ball, you get frustrated, you get angry, you get down, you're trying to figure out other ways to help the team. But really, when you're in a situation like Justin Jefferson, you're going for the record receiving yards in a season. And then all of a sudden this guy's talked all week and you're not getting the ball and they're not getting you good opportunities. And then you're slipping and falling on the ground. I mean, I got to change my shoes. Your head's not in the right spot. So credit where credit is due. He did a fantastic job. But let's check some of this stuff out. They set the tone early. And I was amazed at their ability to communicate pre-snap. Okay. Because what happened here is they took away the post-snap communication. They took away the need for post-snap communication. This play early in the game describes everything that you need to know about the Packers defense and how they attack the Minnesota Vikings. These are the concepts. One, he's in the slot. Jay Alexander's against Justin Jefferson, but we have a safety who is literally going to turn his body inside out and point at Justin Jefferson and drive on him when he goes inside. So what does that mean? That means Jay Alexander knows that he has inside help. If this guy goes across the field, we have somebody covering him now. He's not going to have to chase him across the field. We don't have a safety playing with his chest to the end zone that has to pivot and drive on this guy. He is closing the space. He is closing the angle. And when Justin Jefferson turns, there's a guy facing him. There's not a guy trying to drive on him or catch up to him. There's a guy facing him. That is a big deal. That was the difference in this game. That's the first thing. So let's just watch this from Jefferson's point of view. He is sitting here, and I think that's Rudy Ford is just staring at him. So Jay Alexander, if he wants to go high, Alexander can run with anybody. But if you want to break inside right now, you got nowhere to go. And we got great coverage by Rasul Douglas down here on Thielen. Great coverage all over. KJ Osborne's covered. Everybody's covered. But Jefferson has nowhere. But that is the route. They're running the dig. The dig is one of the hardest routes in the National Football League to cover, period. You ask any offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, man, what is like the hardest route to cover? A really well-run dig route is impossible to cover unless you do this. And they did it all day, and they killed him because that's how we got killed last time. Now, just as important, if not more so, Kenny Clark, early in the game, Jaron Reed, Hollins, winning at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, Preston Smith, winning early, beating this not very good right guard, putting himself in a situation where the guy who just doesn't move is a statue, all of a sudden has to feel this pressure late. And now you see Rasul Douglas here. I mean, that's textbook. That is absolutely textbook on how you wipe away a ball that's coming in. No PI, great coverage, fantastic job. That one play is everything we wanted to see from the Green Bay Packers against the Minnesota Vikings. Fantastic. You see this goal line stand. First things first, got a rookie, Wyatt, and then obviously Preston's coming down hard. Listen I think this is O'Neal, their tackle, whiffs completely. We get down and smash through this gap, and then which Wyatt does, takes care of this tight end, puts him all the way down in the A gap, and allows Preston Smith, listen, phenomenal job over here, but where's the space? The space is in the right side B gap. It was a phenomenal job on the left side of the screen, but these two guys come in, and then Preston just breaks some backs right here. You see everybody just folding the wrong way because he comes down and does such a great job. But let's watch Wyatt first. Swims the tackle and then just throws the tight end all the way down. So all of a sudden, if you want to cut back, there's nowhere to go. It's a fantastic job all around. Now we got Slayton here. And then Amos. Amos had, I think, 8 tackles on the tackle philosophy being the tackle. This guy had a game. This guy had an absolute day today. Just playing physical, set the tone for the team, being a great team captain. So we see just defeating the third string. I don't care what string center you are. You're on the goal line at Lambeau Field in January, man. It's go time, and you just got tore up. Great job by Slayton there, making him redirect, and then you just see. I couldn't put a circle on Alexander, but he flies in out of nowhere and takes the legs out. You just see Amos coming in as well. It's big time, man. Big time play triggering, just making sure that guy's not moving. That's a 3rd and goal right there. So they go 1st and goal. I think they go 2nd and goal pass, 3rd and goal run, and they kick that field goal. What happens? Nixon gets the ball 5 yards deep in the end zone. Next play, out the door. So that bracket coverage again here. Alexander. And you just see this safety is able to drive because he's turned, and there's a difference between being pointed towards the line of scrimmage and being pointed towards the man. Now it has a different sensation. That man is now attacking me. That is a big deal. Kirk Cousins is seeing that and is immediately going away from it. And it just allows that safety to continue through again. The only way all of this works is if Rasul Douglas, if Darnell Savage, if our linebackers, if they do a good job in coverage. Because all you're really saying is, look, man, go the distance. You have a bad offensive line. You're going to get penalized on these false starts. Kirk Cousins is a statue. Your running game has been, you only run the ball 35% of the time. Justin Jefferson has 17 and 150 yards of receiving yardage. We just don't want you to beat us with him. Why am I showing this? Because this route, I didn't pull it up, and maybe I should have, but we've all seen this route before. We've all seen it from multiple teams. We've certainly seen it from the Minnesota Vikings. So they have a 2x2, and they bring the back out of the backfield here, and you're going to run a stick. You're going to run just a quick arrow out, and then you're going to run the dig. And you just see Rasul Douglas is literally just sitting on this route. I mean, does it in any way or shape or form, does he look like he's worried about getting run past here? Just sitting on the route. And when you're allowed to sit on drive on those kind of routes with that kind of coverage, you create turnovers. Savage does a great job making a couple people miss, getting downhill. KJ Osborne, friend of the show, by the way. Great effort here. Big fan of KJ. But that's big time, man. And then I think this is the next turnover. So we have Quay. Again, man pointed right to. And this time Justin Jefferson falls down. But we have Quay Walker out there. This is one of the reasons you draft him as high as you do, because he can actually put hands on for a number of yards and have some success. Get our second pick. Then I think this is the 3rd pick here, and this is the one I appreciate the most. So now they've moved Jefferson to inside on this 2x2 look, and I think this is Savage covering him. And you see Savage now has inside leverage, so he can't cut across his face. But you see the safety is now pointed outside, so he can. Oh, I did it again. So he can drive on him. Excuse me, guys. One more. So you see Savage has inside leverage. I think that's Ford is pointed towards the sideline. Now he's backpedaling. So he's playing to drive on the outside. We know he can't drive on the outside, or we know he can't go outside because there's a man right next to him. Play over the top. Not open. They try to go high side. Ford goes over and makes a great play. I mean, just a really good job from a schematic standpoint. Again, this is all pre-snap. They're already talking where they're locking, where their leverage is going to be, how they're going to play this before the ball snaps. So there's no communication errors, or there's no communication required to make these plays. There's no pass off, for example. Three picks yesterday. You win that turnover battle 4-0. It's a big deal. One thing that was kind of surprising, this is one of the few times you bring down Amos in the box early, so Jerry Alexander has to back up. This is an opportunity to get that guy Justin Jefferson just get on a hitch pass, get them something early. They decided not to. Amos comes in here, makes another play at the line of scrimmage. Again, I just thought he had a really, really good game, just bringing the heat all day. I'll show a couple more of these brackets just because I think it's, you have to understand kind of what's going on with this sport. And you can't necessarily do this against everyone. You can't do this all the time. But, man, it really confused the Minnesota Vikings. You see, he's just completely turned in. You look at the safety on the 50-yard line. And just there's double team. There's just bracket coverage. There's nobody else as far as they're concerned, there's nobody else on the field. And Amos with another violent tackle after catch. And this is to the point I'm making here is this is the one time in the entire game Alexander's expecting him to be facing into Jefferson. He's not. He's his chest pointed towards the quarterback. It's the only catch he makes the entire game. He gets the route. They run it exactly how they're supposed to. Our guy, I think this is Amos, is just not turned in. He can't drive on him. He's backpedaling, gestures towards the quarterback, gets his 15 yards, and Alexander stops and looks at him and is telling him, hey, listen, that's not what we're running today. Great job by Jaron Reed here, penetrating, being physical at the line of scrimmage, taking care of this rookie right guard. This is what this is what you expect. They're running a little T. We have run stunts as well. So they run a T, an Egenbari, so a tackle up and underneath. We end up getting great penetration by the tackle. And Egenbari shows, so now if that's Dalvin Cook, he cannot come back underneath because we have the defensive end there. These are the kind of plays that just, if you're an offensive lineman, if you're an offensive coordinator, you're going, God, what else can happen? How did they know to run that right there? We talked about it. I showed 2 snaps at Darrisaw in our preview of getting beat because he's been getting beat. He's a very, very good tackle. He's a young player. He's going to be a good player. He's been getting beat lately for sacks. Last 2 weeks, now the last 3 weeks, he's getting beat for sacks. Hollins does a great job here, in my opinion. He's been a great find by the Green Bay Packers. Great sack. And then, of course, our guy, Kenny Clark. This is what we call $1 million snap. This is $1 million snap. You win. You get the sack, fumble, and fumble recovery. You get the sack, the fumble caused, and the fumble recovery. You get 3 notches in your stat sheet. 3 notches is worth about $1 million for this guy. So whatever he was going to make next year, if he was redoing his contract, he could point to that play and go, you're just going to up that by $1 million. That's how important those plays are. So Packers are still alive. And I think now, if we look at what the opportunities are, I think because the Commanders lost, and by the way, everybody, if you're a Packers fan, you need to send the Washington Commanders, Ron Rivera, who is a great coach, you need to send him a Christmas card or whatever your holiday spirit is, New Year's card. Thank you for starting Carson Wentz. Thank you so much for starting Carson Wentz. There is no chance that the Washington Commanders football team, I'm talking about the players on the field, there is no chance that the Washington Commanders football team, the players on the field, believe that Carson Wentz gives them a better chance to win than Taylor Heineke. There is just no chance that is possible. Absolutely no chance. Monday morning quarterback stuff presented by betonline.ag. Remember, all we have to do is beat the Detroit Lions. Now you think to yourself, well, how did the Lions do yesterday? They won 41-10. 41-10 over the Chicago Bears. And what early it looked like a pretty good game. And then the Lions just said, you know what? Let's roll up our sleeves and go to work because this team can put points on the board in, honestly, just an outstanding fashion. I want to say our boy Jamal Williams, 144 yards rushing for Jamal Williams. 144 yards rushing. 3 touchdown passes for Jared Goff. They averaged almost 7 yards rushing for as a team average. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another good game. 60 yards through the air. They're getting it done. They're playing at a really high level. It's going to be a good game next week. They need it as well. Detroit's now 8-8. So winner takes all. I believe the scenario is if we tie, Lions go. If we win and the Seahawks win, I believe because of strength of schedule, we still go. We being the Green Bay Packers. So it's going to be a fun week. And when I think about these scenarios, I think I've been in one or two where you have to win to get in. We're playing good ball. It's really interesting if you look at the last 4 weeks, really, and you think of the wins. The first 2 weeks, I'm referencing teams aren't very good, but we are down to the Bears, I think, by 9 before we kind of turn that around and start playing. So you go 2-0 and you feel pretty good about yourself. You know you're not playing good teams. You know you're not particularly playing well, but you're winning. And now you go and play the Miami Dolphins. And listen, it's kind of nuts when you think about it now because they did. I think they dropped. I think it was 17 or 20, maybe quick, and we couldn't deal with their speed. Jalen Waddle has the big 81-yard touchdown on the first play of the second series. They scored the series before that. A couple things start happening on defense in particular. On defense in particular, we start making a couple guys. Jaron Reed in particular, Preston Smith. They make plays. Jaron Reed had the sack. Then Justin Hollins had a tackle. Preston Smith had a sack. And then the next series, they're driving. Jaron Reed had the fumble recovery. Those things start happening. We find out that Tua has a concussion later on, but he has 3 terrible interceptions. So it's not like nothing's falling into your lap. But yeah, man, it feels like we're winning games and we're improving. We're not playing the best we could, but things are starting to gel a little together. Now you look at. We go into this game. It's got to have a game against a good football team. They were challenging for the number 1 seed. Bakhtiari's back. And listen, Bakhtiari is like, he's clinic. Almost everything he does is clinic. And his sets are weird and blah, blah, blah. His stances he's clinic. That's the only thing. It's the biggest compliment I can give somebody. You're clinic, man. Every set you do is clinic. Everything almost every play you have is clinic. Elgin Jenkins is starting to play at a higher level at left guard. Myers showed some things today. There was a couple of clips I put in there. He's just playing at a higher level. JRJ's been consistent. And then Zach Tom, Josh starts the game. Zach Tom finishes. Zach Tom played pretty well. Mercedes Lewis in playoff mode. And he's brought those guys with him. DeGuara is playing well. Tunyon has, in my opinion, probably the biggest change in mindset of anybody on the offense has been Robert Tunyon. Glad to see that. Glad to see him getting some more passes. We have a receiving core that's getting healthier and is showing that they can do some damage. Randall Cobb is in playoff mode right now. You saw him make some plays yesterday. And you beat a Minnesota team in a fashion that I don't think nobody saw us beating 41-17. Nobody thought that Keyshawn Nixon was going to return that touchdown. 105 yards. That we're going to fumble the ball they're going to get the ball back on the 1 yard line, and we're going to somehow have a goal line stand early in the game and hold them to 3 points. That they're going to block a punt. That they're going to get that 18-yard sack on third down. All of these things, like, it just seems like it's working really well. And if you believe in karma, if you believe in momentum, you don't have to believe in it or not. Momentum's a real thing because it breeds confidence. And so if these guys are prepping well, the ball's starting to bounce their way, the field's a little bit wet and slippery, all those things matter. It'll matter because it'll go into the Detroit Lions' head. Amon-Ra St. Brown's looking at the cleats like, Justin Jefferson slipped a lot yesterday. Dalvin Cook slipped a lot yesterday. What cleats do I have to wear? Jamal Williams will be talking to him about it. But it's just one more thing they got to focus on. To bold out there. We're a dome team. All this stuff matters. And so it'll be really interesting to see what happens next weekend. I don't know what the opening spread is. If we go to the book here, I don't even think they put the games together yet as far as what times they're going to be. So we got Detroit Lions and Green Packers. Packers are favored by 4.5 at home. So if everything plays out, this is a playoff team. I don't know who they're going to play. I don't really care about those scenarios until they happen. This is an exciting time. You start 4-8. I think you go 1-7 over a stretch. People are talking about, should we bench Aaron Rodgers, see what Jordan Love has? I really appreciate, as a football player, as a former football player, and as a guy who's been a coach as well, I really appreciate that Joe Barry in particular said, we're going to bracket this guy. We're going to take the communication off the table, at least the post-snap communication, and we're going to drive inside out on him, and we're going to take that guy away. The rest of you have to hold up. One thing I didn't talk about on that film that we should have talked about more. They allowed our 4 defensive linemen to rush the passer for the majority of the game. We're not trying to manufacture anything. That allows you to play 2 shell. It allows you. I think we talked about on the TV yesterday. Tony Romo was talking about how they're facing the quarterback. Well, what that really all that meant was they're playing a shell look with those safeties. They're able to come downhill. Now as we looked at the film, we look at not really facing the quarterback. They're actually staring at Justin Jefferson and they're facing in him. But the point is you can play that team deep if you trust that. Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker can do their job. Devondre Campbell was a beast yesterday as well. Made a lot of big plays on both sides of the line of scrimmage. But you trust that those guys can get home, can create some pressure, or at least get Kirk Cousins to throw the ball before he's ready or get him on a second or third read. Once you understand that you can do that, you're going to give up that rock. You see the 3 picks he had yesterday. Confluence of events, man, but it's fun. This is what's fun about this is the best part about football. I mean, this is like football doesn't even start for me until December. This is awesome to watch. This is a great storyline. There's going to be some great games this weekend. I think there's a lot still up in the air. I believe the Dolphins have an opportunity to get in. You look at what the Niners did yesterday. Coming into that Raiders game was amazing. The Chargers, I mean, absolutely blew the doors off the Rams yesterday. Is kind of what you expect. The Bucs clinched. Tom Brady is forever just an enigma wrapped inside a fortune cookie, man. I don't understand how he's so good at 44 years old or whatever he is. Carolina Panthers going to have a good team here in a couple of years. Steve Wilkes, I hope he gets that job. He's well coached. I'm just looking through the games next weekend. The Pats are still in it. They're playing the Bills. That'll be a monster game, 7.5 to the Bills. I'm sure you have to take the Bills there, but the Pats, it's Belichick. I can't imagine they go out like they did last time they played the Bills in a meaningful game last year. And then Minnesota, Chicago. Minnesota will win that, you would assume. Maybe they don't have anything to play for. Maybe they don't play their starters now. But Ravens yesterday losing that game. They're playing against the Bengals. That's probably the game of the week. Bengals over the Ravens by 7. But both teams really need that for playoff seeding. Going to be a fun weekend, guys. We'll have the preview for the Detroit Lions. Amon will be back next Thursday for the Detroit preview. You can find me, Mike Wall 68 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. Check this out. Subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Process to Perform. You like these videos. Block Party will be out tomorrow doing some trench warfare stuff. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Thanks a lot.